What's up, Lamborghini fans? Today I'm going to show you a fix for a common problem on the 04 to 08 Lamborghini Gallardo. So behind me is my 08 Lamborghini Gallardo Spider. This problem is actually a bushing in the control arm, and it causes a creaking sound. This has a front lift system, so when the vehicle raises and lowers, you hear this kind of creaking sound. You can also hear it clicking sometimes when you're driving. These bushings, as you'll see, the control arm mounts right up to the frame, which is pretty much right at your feet when you're sitting in the car, so you hear this sometimes while you're driving. Lamborghini would want to sell you brand new control arms at a pretty ridiculous price, as you might imagine, but I've actually found that the bushings on the Ferrari F430 fit this control arm as well. So I'll show you the part that I'm talking about, I'll show you the sound that I'm talking about, and I'll kind of show you along the way as I work. So let's get started. So right now I've got a bottle jack on a piece of wood on the lower control arm, and it is raised up. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this down. The easiest way for me to show you what this sounds like is to have the shock compressed, and then I will relieve the pressure by letting that bottle jack down. So I'm gonna set the light here, and it's actually pretty crazy. If you put your hand here while you're doing this, you will feel the bushing stick and slip. So let me get the jack handle here. I'm going to slowly let this down and just listen for that creaking sound. It's actually coming from the front and the rear bushing in that upper control arm. In order to take the bushings out of the control arms, we'll have to get the control arms off first. So I'm going to do that by removing this nut and bolt right here, disconnecting the shock and spring from the control arm, and then I'm going to get this, there's actually a ball joint right here, so there's a nut underneath that I'll get to, and then break that loose. I'll pick it back up once I get most of that done. I finally got the ball joint on the upper control arm here free from the spindle. It was pretty difficult, so I had to make, well, not make, I didn't make the tool, but I modified the tool. So I ground off about 1/8 of an inch from this edge right here. Actually, it goes like this. So this fits underneath. And the problem is the front axle here gets in the way, and you really don't have much room to get anything under. So if you turn the wheel all the way to the outside so that you have access from the front of the car here, then you can get this under there if you grind it down. And it took me quite a while to grind that down, but it came off. And now, let me show you the creak. It's really easy to move the control arm now. So you can just, there's the sound. And you can, I mean, even feeling it, you know, it'll stick and slip. But as you can see, ball joint's in great shape. This car has about 18,000 miles on it, and I didn't want to replace this. Certainly didn't want to replace the entire control arm for multiple thousands of dollars from Lamborghini. You can see I took out the inner fender liners here, and that gave me a lot better access with my tools and things. So I bungeed the shock up to the top there, so it's just hanging. I didn't want to have to remove the oil line. It's actually power steering fluid that's pressurized and does the lift system. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out, and then we'll get to work. I'll show you the new parts that are going in, and we'll get to work pressing the old ones out and pressing the new ones in. I'm pressing the new bushings in right now. As you can see, I got the old bushing out right here, and if you look at it closely, you can actually see some of this residue right here. That's what was getting kind of sticking and slipping, making that noise. You can see it just kind of, it's kind of like bubble gum almost. It's like old rubber. Anyway, pretty gross. So we're getting rid of these new bushings. And that actually came out pretty easy. I've got a 12-ton press right here. The new bushing, as you can see, nice and shiny. These are actually from the Ferrari F430. So Ferrari calls them flam blocks, but they fit perfectly into the Lamborghini control arms. Of course, Lamborghini wouldn't want you to know that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up, and then I'll pick it back up right when I do the press, and I'll show you kind of what it's like to press them in. It's pretty easy. One thing I forgot to mention that I do with these, I'm gonna go ahead and take, let's see if you can see it there. I'm gonna take that circlip off and take these washers off, and that makes seating it a little bit easier with the bushing shells that I have. As you can see, I've got my new bushing. I've got a socket down here and a socket up here. I actually have a bushing set, but these sockets work really well. They seem to fit just fine. So you'll see this doesn't take a whole lot of force. And as I go, I just kind of make sure that it's lined up, make sure I'm going in straight. I got the bushings in, and I have the bottle jack underneath the spindle right now. I'm compressing the spring, so I'll let it down again, and hopefully you can hear the difference. I've got to do the other side first, of course, but after that, take it for a drive and we will call it a day. I just got done pulling off the driver's side control arm. This one went a little bit faster. I was able to get the ball joint removal tool on there easily and popped it right off, not too much trouble. Same story on this side. So you can see the ball joint is in great shape. I'm gonna keep that. And these are same story too. It's just, they're, and I can actually rotate these by hand. I can rotate the inner portion separate from the bushing itself, which really it should be kind of one unit. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and then press the old ones out, press the new ones in, and get the control arm back on. I'm gonna kind of clean up everything else while I'm in here. I just got done pressing the new bushings into the driver's side control arm. And I just wanted to show that I actually, just for fun, I wanted to see if my ball joint press could work in place of the hydraulic press. And it turns out it does, it works just fine. So I've got a 21mm socket right here, and this inner diameter works perfectly to let the bushing slip through. So got the new bushings in. I'm gonna get it in the car now. Just got everything cleaned up. Got the new control arm in, new bushings in, got everything snugged down, and I just wanted to show, this is the old bushing right here, and this stuff, let me see if you can get a close up here. This stuff is like rubber residue. This is what was causing that sticking and slipping. So you can see I can peel it off, and from looking at these, I probably could have pressed them out, cleaned this all up, and maybe even lubricated it and put it back in. The rubber is in fine shape, but for the work that it is to pull them out, to do this, it's nice to have new rubber there and a brand new bushing altogether. So you can see this is what is causing that clicking sound in your Gallardo. Hopefully this is helpful. I'm gonna get it back together and we'll go for a little drive and bask in the silence of the new bushings. I'm out here driving around. This is when you would hear the clicking the most. Just city streets. On the highway you didn't hear it so much. I don't know if it was just drowned out by wind noise or what, but it's nice and smooth, nice and quiet. Ride's great. So, very, very happy with the results. If you guys have any questions about the job or questions about the bushings, just post them up in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. And as always, thanks for watching.